Son nuestras herramientas para la comunicación. Pero utilizar el corazón es suficiente para comprendernos. El siguiente relato corto de mi libro, Bisimundua, recoge esa realidad de manera impecable. Y el alien. ¡Ah! Me gusta gritar. Llorar también. También me gusta mucho llorar. Así, además de sentir las vibraciones de la garganta, puedo sentir cómo se deslizan las lágrimas por mis mejillas. Además, me levanto de la jaula, me agarro de los barrotes y me muevo rítmicamente. Y así monto una fiesta fenomenal. Generalmente no me hacen mucho caso, aunque haga mucho ruido. Pero hoy ha sido un día especial. En mitad de mi espectáculo han entrado 5 personas desconocidas a nuestra habitación. En cuanto han entrado, he podido oler su miedo. Puede que no estén acostumbrados a ver niños en jaulas, o tal vez, con tantas cabezas grandes y tantos sonidos raros, se han sorprendido. Porque mis compañeros de habitación también tienen sus necesidades y se ríen o hacen ruidos raros. Sea como sea, creo que mi ambiente festivo no ha ayudado. Se han acercado y algunos han metido la mano en la jaula para acariciarme. Han querido callarme. Me susurraban shh. Me ha parecido un juego muy divertido y he añadido movimientos bruscos a mi espectáculo. Me he puesto a dar patadas y creo que eso ha sido el punto dramático que ha coronado mi actuación. Soy un artista. 10 de julio de 2019. Hemos llegado al final del día y aunque sea tarde, hemos decidido ir al orfanato. Nos ha parecido un sitio bonito por fuera. Un patio grande, árboles. Ha ido anocheciendo. Y las nubes han ido a cubrir el cielo. Así, como en las películas de miedo, nuestras almas también se han ensombrecido. Cuando hemos entrado en las habitaciones, ha empezado la pesadilla. Hemos encontrado un lugar lleno de jaulas y cadenas. Los que no pueden moverse mucho han buscado nuestras caras. Algunos han empezado a reírse de manera descontrolada y fuera de contexto. Otros no han movido más que los ojos. Les cuesta trabajo respirar. Tienen una gran hidrocefalia. Aún así, lo que más ha ensombrecido el ambiente ha sido una chica ciega. La niña estaba dentro de una jaula, gritando, llorando, pegando patadas y moviéndose de manera brusca y rítmica. Hemos escuchado los gritos desde fuera, pero los barrotes que hemos encontrado dentro y los movimientos que hacía no han ayudado. La verdad, cuando he metido la mano en la jaula para intentar acariciar a la niña, he pensado que podría perder la mano. Como si fuese la jaula de un león peligroso. Increíble que podría perder la mano. Como si fuese la jaula de un león peligroso. Increíble. Esta tarde ha vuelto la chica que vino ayer. Me ha puesto unas cosas raras que eran largas y blandas en las manos y me las ha pasado por la cara, por los brazos, las piernas. Esta chica está enferma. ¿De qué planeta habrá venido? De todas maneras, es verdad que me ha gustado la sensación. Al principio he estado a punto de enfadarme, pero al final se ha convertido en un juego muy divertido. Me ha dado mucha pena no tener esos barrotes blandos y dulces para seguir jugando ahora. 11 de julio de 2019. Hoy sería el primer contacto oficial en el orfanato, así que hemos ido a recoger los datos de los niños y jóvenes para poder rellenar sus fichas más adelante. Los nombres eran raros y además teníamos dificultades para comunicarnos con los cuidadores. Estoy seguro de que hemos apuntado más de una edad mal. ¿Sabrán ellos cuántos años tienen estos niños? Después de comer, como los trabajadores sociales y los fisioterapeutas estaban ocupados, he decidido hacer una dinámica por mi cuenta. He buscado En el material que hemos traído he cogido guirnaldas de colores y he ido a estimular a los niños de las jaulas. A los que ven y están tumbados boca arriba, les he puesto las guirnaldas por los barrotes. A los que no ven o no se pueden mover, se los he dado a las manos y les he dado un masaje por el cuerpo. Me ha gustado mucho hacer la dinámica con la chica que ayer estaba gritando, que se llama Tú. Tenía tantas ganas que he decidido meterme en su jaula a jugar con ella. Habré estado 5 minutos en la jaula, pero pensar lo que tiene que ser estar en esa jaula desde que te puedes empezar a mover, no quiero ni pensar qué puede ser eso. Me voy a llevar a esta niña a dar un paseo, estoy segura. Esta mañana, cuando ya nos habíamos olvidado de los visitantes, ha vuelto la chica del espacio. Hoy ha venido con unas trabajadoras domésticas. Traían unas bolsitas que olían muy bien. Nos las han acercado a la nariz y también nos han hecho cosquillas con esas bolsitas. Ahora, aunque siguen comportándose de una manera rara, nos hablan en vietnamita. Además, una de las trabajadoras me ha sacado de la jaula y se ha puesto a jugar conmigo. Hemos jugado a pasarnos la bolsita. Ha sido divertido. Y luego no quería volver a la jaula. Cuando se han ido, me he puesto a llorar. Quiero ir con ellas. Quiero tomar el sol y el aire. También quiero jugar con el sol y el aire. 12 de julio de 2019. Hemos empezado el día con la actividad olfativa, en la habitación de debajo de las escaleras. Antes de empezar esta actividad, con la ayuda de los intérpretes, he explicado a las trabajadoras sociales por qué es imposible hacer actividades para trabajar los sentidos. Me ha gustado mucho hacer esta actividad con las trabajadoras sociales. Al principio parecía que tenían algo de miedo, pero luego han empezado a imitar lo que yo estaba haciendo. Una de ellas ha sacado a Tú de la jaula y ha estado jugando con ella. Me gustaría impulsar ese tipo de comportamientos entre los trabajadores del orfanato para que cuando nosotros nos vayamos sigan haciendo sesiones de estimulación con los niños y jóvenes del orfanato. El día de hoy ha sido especial. Por la tarde ha vuelto la loca de las actividades. Lo primero que ha hecho ha sido saludar a todos los niños. Nos habla con cariño y nos acaricia los brazos y la cara. ¿No se da cuenta de que no le entendemos ni una palabra? Después se ha acercado a mí y me ha sacado de la jaula. Poco a poco hemos cruzado la habitación y hemos llegado a la entrada, que estaba abierta. Hacía tiempo que no salía de la habitación. Hace 2 semanas tuve mi última sesión de fisio. Para mi sorpresa, en vez de salir al patio, hemos subido por las escaleras de la izquierda. Nunca he venido por aquí. En toda mi vida habré subido 2 o 3 escalones seguidos, como máximo. Hoy han sido muchos escalones y me lo he tomado como un juego. Para empezar con el juego, la chica me ha agarrado los pies para enseñarme cómo tenía que subir los escalones. Luego se ha puesto delante de mí y me ha agarrado fuerte de las manos. Creo que tenía miedo de que me cayera. Cada vez me parece más maja esta chica tan tonta. Cuando hemos llegado arriba he escuchado sonidos que no había escuchado nunca. Son niños pequeños. Yo fui uno de ellos hasta que cumplí 5 años y me metieron en la jaula. Creo que me movía demasiado. 15 de julio de 2019. Es lamentable dejar sin autonomía a una persona que tiene tantas capacidades y ponerla dentro de una jaula. Por eso, a la tarde he ido yo sola y he sacado a Tú a pasear. Al principio me ha dado un poco de miedo mi decisión, porque lo he hecho sin decírselo a nadie y he sacado a la niña. Además, la he subido al piso de arriba para que se moviese un poco con los niños pequeños. Abajo no había cuidadores cuando me he llevado a Tú, pero arriba había 3 y me han sonreído, tratando de ocultar nuestra incapacidad de comunicarnos. Los niños al principio no entendían nada y creo que se han asustado un poco al principio, pero luego han tocado a Tú y han jugado con ella. Creo que se han roto sus prejuicios. 20 de julio de 2019. Hoy es un día de fiesta. Es nuestro último día en este orfanato de Vietnam. Antes de irnos, queremos hacer una fiesta de un par de horas y nos gustaría que participaran todas o casi todas las personas que viven aquí. Esto va a ser muy difícil. ¿Cómo explicar que queremos que las personas que ahora están en jaulas estén libres por el patio? Lo mejor será sacar a esos niños nosotros mismos, sin pedir ningún permiso. Ha venido la extraterrestre loca. Me ha sacado corriendo de la jaula. ¿A dónde vamos? Generalmente me habla más y se mueve más despacio, pero hoy parece que está muy ocupada. Vamos a sacarles muy rápido, antes de que los trabajadores nos digan nada. Me gusta mucho correr. Un nuevo juego. Tal vez estemos haciendo una carrera. Vamos a ganar, ya verás. Una vez que hemos sacado a todos los usuarios que no están enfermos, podemos empezar con la fiesta. Madre mía, ¿qué es esto? Hay muchísimo ruido y escucho voces que nunca he escuchado en mi vida. Me han sentado en el suelo. Si muevo las manos en cualquier dirección, puedo tocar otros cuerpos. ¿Quiénes son esas personas? ¿Serán mis compañeros de cuarto? La verdad, nunca les he tocado. Una mujer lleva 10 minutos cantando y yo sufriendo sus canciones. Está claro que yo cantaría muchísimo mejor, pero no me han acercado ningún micro. Me han puesto un vaso en la boca y ¡qué rica está esta bebida! Pero me han dado muy poco y pronto me han quitado el vaso para dárselo al siguiente. He intentado recuperar esta bebida mágica, pero ha sido imposible. Me he enfadado, me voy de aquí. Me sorprende cuánto les gusta el karaoke a los vietnamitas. Cogen el micrófono y cantan una canción tras otra. Yo he estado bailando con los niños, los jóvenes y los mayores. Nos lo estamos pasando estupendamente y tenemos un público que nos aplaude. También he ayudado a repartir el tang de sabor naranja. Es increíble lo mucho que les gusta. Por ejemplo, Tuk quería beberse todo el vaso y se ha enfadado cuando se lo hemos quitado. Sin levantar las manos del suelo, me he ido alejando de la gente. Al principio he cruzado la tierra blanda. Luego me ha parecido que unas manos me tocaban. Pero cuando he atrapado a quien me estaba tocando, me he dado cuenta de que no era una persona, sino que era un barrote fino y flexible. Oh, Dios mío, Tuk se ha escapado. No está entre Bu y Mai. He recorrido el patio con la mirada. Allí está. Ha llegado a la valla de la entrada y se está poniendo de pie. Habrá tenido que cruzar todo el jardín para llegar hasta allí. Es una aventurera. He ido deprisa, pero tratando de mantener la calma, para que los cuidadores no me digan que ya nos lo habían dicho. Me he acercado a donde tú. Está bien. Tiene tierra en las uñas, pero nada más. Le he ayudado a levantarse y le he acariciado la cara. La música se oye lejos. Estamos en un ambiente tranquilo. Le he dicho, lo has hecho genial, tú. Sigue así, busca tu libertad. Al mismo tiempo, una lágrima me ha caído por la mejilla. Ya está aquí otra vez. Esta chica está obsesionada conmigo. Me ha agarrado de las manos y me ha ayudado a ponerme en dos piernas. La verdad es que tampoco está tan mal que haya venido. Me gusta cómo huele. Me habla con cariño y me toca la cara. Creo que se está despidiendo de mí. a la hora de pronunciar. Iga y ega se pronuncian igual, iga, pero aunque los formatos son diferentes, el objetivo es el mismo: impulsar la colaboración entre jóvenes de lenguas minoritarias. Y es que vosotros seréis quienes revitalizaréis estas lenguas minoritarias. Hoy tenemos 15 trabajos que se han presentado al concurso. Nos han llegado propuestas originales y atractivas con el objetivo de revivir los idiomas. Por eso, muchísimas felicidades a todas las personas que habéis participado. Por otro lado, quiero dar las gracias a las personas del proyecto y en los jóvenes emprendedores: el Gobierno vasco, la Diputación Foral de Álava, la Fundación Vital, la Cátedra UNESCO del Patrimonio Lingüístico Mundial, el Clúster de Sociolingüística, el Consejo de Euskalgintza, Garabide, Gela, el Grupo de Estudio de Lenguas Amenazades y la Casa de Euskera Oihaneder. Por otro lado, muchas gracias también a todas las personas que han venido aquí, a Kike Amonarriz por participar hoy aquí y a Beñat Garayo por hacer esto posible y encargarse de la coordinación. Para terminar, esperando que la próxima IGA sea presencial, me despido hoy aquí. Iñaki Guturbay es nuestro concejal de euskera, pero no ha podido venir y nos ha dejado un vídeo. Bienvenidos a Gasteiz y a Oihaneder. Hoy no puedo estar hoy aquí presencialmente, pero sí me gustaría saludaros telemáticamente. Creo que es muy importante saber qué es lo que estáis celebrando. Estáis haciendo un congreso en el que, por un lado, sois jóvenes y, por otro lado, sois hablantes de lenguas minoritarias. Estos son los dos elementos que tenemos que tener en cuenta. También es muy importante saber que muchas veces los hablantes de lenguas minoritarias, los que vivimos en nuestros idiomas pequeños, nos sentimos solos y solas. Pero es muy importante saber que en el mundo hay muchas otras personas como nosotras, jóvenes que hablan, que son hablantes de lenguas minoritarias. Por eso es muy importante reforzar las relaciones que tenéis entre vosotros para darnos cuenta que no estamos solos en el mundo y muchas gracias, Iñaki. Ahora le voy a pasar la palabra a Itziar Uriarte de la Diputación Foral de Álava. Muchas gracias, Itziar.
For all your contributions, for the fact that you've given light to the IGA project and that you've helped the project grow. Araba is very excited about this new edition of IGA. We're excited about reinforcing cooperation and solidarity between young people from different countries to help them to get to know each other better and to really maintain the clamour of minoritized languages. Now, IGA is designed to foster language cooperation. It's much more than that, and it is an honour for you to have taken the province of Álava as the place where you're carrying out this project. Now, you have shown us, all the participants have shown that you are well able to create projects that are of the utmost quality. And with your effort, you have sent a very strong message out in favour of language revitalization. And the fact that there is a firm commitment and a commitment that you make every day. So, for the 11th time, thank you very much. We're very excited about this. We were hoping to foster and revitalise not just Basque but all minoritised languages. The future is yours. Thank you very much indeed. Now I'm going to pass the floor to Joseba Lozano. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, despite the current health crisis, the fact that we're here together to celebrate the Summit of Young Speakers of Minoritized Languages is wonderful. It's very gratifying because I think it is testament to the incredible effort and all the wonderful work that you are doing and young people all around the world are doing to foster minoritized languages. The Basque government made a firm commitment a long time ago to support this initiative which focuses on young people, and today we reiterate this commitment for the future. And I think one of our tasks is to work with you to ensure the revitalization of minoritized languages. And that's really all from me because you are the stars of this show, so congratulations to the prize winners and my heartfelt gratitude to all of you, all of those who have helped organize this project. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, Joseba. Now we're going to hear from Ines Garcia Ascoaga, who represents the UNESCO Chair in World Language Heritage. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be with you here today at this Summit of Young Speakers of Minoritized Languages. And it's wonderful to see all the efforts that you're making to awaken interest in minoritized languages. And you've shown that you're incredibly innovative and you're able to set up innovative initiatives in order to overcome all sorts of obstacles. And I hope that you continue to work with the same enthusiasm and the same creativity in the future. And that's all from me. So congratulations to all of you. And also congratulations to the prize winners, who we'll find out who they are later on. Thank you very much, Ines. Now we're going to be seeing another video, a video which has been sent to us by Itziar Uriarte, who is the Executive Director of the Vital Foundation, who unfortunately can't be here with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Itziar Uriarte and I am the Executive Director of the Vital Foundation. And on behalf of the Vital Foundation, I would like to apologise for not being able to be with you there today. But right from the very beginning, the Vital Foundation has been a staunch supporter of this project, since one of our aims is to support and promote projects which aim to foster culture, participation, engagement and community-based values. We strive always to support young talent and innovation, especially from the perspective of minoritized languages. So, on behalf of the Vital Foundation, thank you all so much for your wonderful work. And now, to finish, we will pass the floor over to Beñat Garraio. And he's going to tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing this evening. Good afternoon, everyone. Unfortunately, my hand mic doesn't seem to be working, so I'm just coming up here. Well, IGA, usually we're having to make the IGA event into just 2 hours, which is a bit difficult. But we'll do it as well as possible. But we're going to hear now from Kike Amonarriz, who's going to be telling us about the situation of young people. Now, for those of you who are not from here, you might not know who Kike Amonarriz is, but he's very, very well known here. He's, what can we call him? We can call him, he's the jack of all trades of Basque revitalization. He's ready for anything, always does everything. He does all sorts of things. He's a very special person. He has a special place in our hearts. We learn a lot from him always, and I'm sure you'll learn from him today as well. He's written a number of different books, the latest one being called Basque at a Crossroads. And in fact, we're going to ask Kike, what is this crossroads and which way should we go from here? So, without further ado, I'll leave you in his very capable hands. He'll be talking for about 20 minutes, and then we have a half an hour for a Q&A session, or for you to make proposals or make any comments that you would like to make. So listen now for 20 minutes, and then you'll all have a chance a little bit later, and then we're going to find out who the prize winners are. So thank you very much, Kike, for being here with us, and the floor is all yours. Good afternoon. This is me. This is the jack of all trades. I'm here. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the organisers for the opportunity to be here. I feel like the granddad, really. I think I'm the oldest person here, but thank you very much for inviting me. Anyway, it's wonderful, and it's great to see these sort of events are still being organised now. I'm sure that those of you who are here probably will recognise a lot of things I'm about to say, but it's always good to hear about it. Now, I've said many, many times that Basque is at a crossroads. The revitalization process has come to a change of phase. So, as I was preparing this presentation, I kind of realised that probably it's not just Basque that's at a crossroads. It's probably many other minoritized languages, both in Europe and in the whole world as well. So it's a metaphor that can be used for many languages. Now, Basque, just like many other minoritized languages in the world, has had its ups and downs, and has undergone a huge amount of loss due to political, economic and demographic factors. Ever since the creation of the idea of the nation state as an ideology with its single language, well, the Basque language and many other languages such as yours have lost ground. But in the 1960s, here in the Basque country, there was a huge movement started to recover the Basque language. And after the end of Franco's dictatorship, in the autonomous community of the Basque country and in Navarre, Basque became a co-official language, even though the situation isn't quite as good in Navarre as it is in the autonomous region of the Basque country. Now, let me just to give you some facts and figures so that you can get an idea of why I say and I argue that we are at a crossroads. Over the last 4 decades, there's been a huge evolution in the amount of people, the number of people who actually know, who are able to speak and understand the language, and knowledge. This is what we call language knowledge. There's been a huge increase. If we have a look at 1991, which we can see on the left hand, usually it was the older people who spoke the Basque language. And in fact, knowledge among the other age groups was much lower. Now, these are data from the entire Basque country. But if we look at it in 2016, you can see that most Basque speakers are younger. And in fact, it's completely round the other way. There are many more young Basque speakers than there are older Basque speakers. Now, the Basque language has been a co-official language, and I think we can see the effect of this in the autonomous region of the Basque country. And there you can see in these graphs here. If we can see, if we look at the data from 2016, you can see that young people aged between 16 and 24, about 20% of them. This was back in 1991. But in 2016, this figure has increased up to 80%, over 80%. So in the Basque country, the autonomous region, autonomous community, and Navarre, almost everybody, especially among the younger age groups, understand and can speak Basque. They have good Basque knowledge. But if we have a look at use, how much people actually use the language, then things are a little bit different. Now, we're not talking about whether they can use it, whether they can speak it. We're actually saying, if we go out on the street, how many conversations do we hear in the Basque language? Now, The first measurement was taken in 1989, and then the percentage was about 11%. So 11% of conversations that we heard were in Basque. That was actually more than we expected. It went up by 1% point. It went up by another point 4 years later on. And we thought that was the way it was going to go. It was going to increase by 1% every 4 years. But in fact, this increase started to slow, and in the measurement carried out in 2011 and 2016, alarm bells started ringing because it was actually going down. Now this, as I said, set off a lot of alarm bells in the language policy department, and in fact gave rise to many different initiatives aimed to increase Basque use. For example, Euskaraldia. Now, it's important for you to understand the following. Here we have the evolution of language use by age, by different age groups. If we have a look at 1989, you can see that it was the young people who spoke Basque least in the Basque country. In 2016, it's the young people and children who use Basque most, and much more than adults or older people. And this is a result of the language revitalization process, and this is very positive for the future. Now, I think the phase that started in the 1960s is coming to an end, and we're entering a new phase now. So if we look at what happened in the 1980s, and I'm just talking about the autonomous community of the Basque Country, there were 20% of people were learning Basque. But this went up to about half by the year 2000, and in 2016, as you can see, over 80% of people actually speak the Basque language. They can, and they understand it. So we're talking about a very universal knowledge of the Basque Country. There's a lot of room for improvement there. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. People who come from other areas of Spain will still need to learn the language, or people who come from other countries still need to learn it. But in just one generation, we have come a long way. So where can we actually get better? Where can we keep going? Well, what we need to do is focus on use, because knowledge is one thing, but use is a different thing. And this is where we come this is where we get the idea of a crossroads. If we are able now to actually reach the same levels of use as we have reached the levels of knowledge, if we can get those two levels up to the same level, then in fact we will be in a very, very good place. But if we don't do that, if we don't reach the same level of universal use as we have the universal level of knowledge, what's going to happen? Well, the next generations, the young generations, are going to see that their parents can speak Basque, but they don't speak Basque, and so they're going to ask themselves, well, what's the point? What's the use? And if that happens, then that's not a good thing. So we've got a choice now. Which way are we going to go? We have a very important choice to make. Now, I think there are a number of different socio-political factors that have impacted the situation of the Basque language. Just to mention some, I would say the end of the armed struggle by ETA, the possibility of applying language policy in our autonomous community. There are many others as well, but I don't want to go into all of this. But I would also say there are some other, more global factors. Factors that affect the entire language community. Your language communities, our language communities. They are massive, mass phenomena, and they are changing the world. For example, globalization. English is the lingua franca all over the world. All of us speak English, more or less. Some speak it better, some don't, but we more or less speak English. We consume products in English, we listen to music in English, we watch films and series. All our communications and our communication systems have also changed as well, and that have actually put us in a globalized world. And the way we watch and listen to cultural content has also changed. We also have new migrations and brought with them new challenges. How can we attract people who come from other countries to the Basque language? How can we encourage them to learn the Basque language? And of course, the distances have become much shorter. So tourism, work, everything, studies, everything is now international. Obviously, some more than others. But that, of course, has brought have a massive impact on our languages, on the use of our languages, and attitude to our languages as well, and also knowledge of our languages. Now, there are a number of different concerns that have to do with language. It's not just minoritized concern, but in fact some hegemonic languages are quite worried about certain things as well. Here you can see there's some clippings from the press in Iceland, for example. The Minister of Culture in Iceland to distribute the films in the Icelandic language, dubbed in the Icelandic languages. They're worried about the future of the Icelandic language in Iceland. There's a number of problems in Catalonia. And then, of course, with COVID-19, the Navajo Indians decided to give absolute priority with regard to vaccination to the eldest members of their communities, the eldest speakers, because they actually thought that their language was in danger of disappearing altogether. We've seen what's happened in France when the Constitutional Council made a decision or decided against the total immersion model, and that generated a wave of protests. Also, the French community, the French-speaking community in Canada is very concerned about the encroachment of English. So the concern is worldwide, which is why actions such as IGA and these meetings are so important. So now we need to think about priorities. On what should we put priority? And here I've got some ideas to share with you. Now, at the beginning of our revitalization process, all of our efforts and all of our resources had to do with knowledge, promoting knowledge, teaching people the language. We needed to create speakers. But that's not enough anymore. So now we've identified other priorities as well, and I'm sure you will recognize this. And one of the conclusions that we've reached is that school is not enough. Teaching it in school is not enough. You need to teach the languages in school, but that alone is not enough. We need to be able to speak the language in the informal areas of our lives, with friends, with family, etc. And especially when we're talking about young people and children, it's important to offer them opportunities, leisure opportunities, recreational opportunities in the Basque language. It's not enough just to have them speaking the Basque language at school. If they then can't work, for example, or speak in Basque when they find a job, for example. Now, the socioeconomic field as well is also very important. And to achieve all of this, we need the involvement of our institutions, we need to activate citizens, and we need to have a firm commitment from all types of stakeholders. Now, this is the situation that we're in at the moment, and I would say that our entire language community has transformed and is in the process of transforming. Now, most of these, when I was thinking about these characteristics and these changes, I was thinking about our language community, the Basque language communities, but I actually think that you, young people from other minoritized language communities, will in fact, they'll be very familiar to all of you. So what are the characteristics of our language community and its transformation? What is it that's happening? What's happening here? And for the first time, there are no monolingual speakers. There are almost no monolingual speakers. There aren't anyone, almost everyone is at least bilingual. And this is the first time it's happened ever. Now, I'm sure that many of your parents, well, I don't know if they're monolinguals, but your grandparents probably were, but now we are members of a globalized world. So we all speak usually more than one language. And we listen to music in different languages, we watch films in different languages. Now, the majority of young speakers of minoritized languages also have a limited knowledge of their language, and this is a global phenomenon. Now, I think that the majority of young speakers, there seems to be a problem with the microphone, so he's just been given a hand mic. He just says he's finishing anyway, so hopefully it won't be too much of one. But another characteristic is that we all have to face the same stereotypes, the same prejudices. Many people think we're just a small language. What's the point? It's really hard to learn, for example. It's all being politicized. And I think we have a lot of things in common. I would also say that I think that all languages also have the same priorities with regard to young people as well. For example, we need to increase knowledge and use, and then motivation as well. And I think that, to be honest, the challenges we're facing are very similar, especially in light of the fact that states often want to homogenize everything. We have language loss, we have to face that. It's difficult for us to internationalize our language, and then we have technological developments which pose their own challenges. We have migration, that's another challenge. But it also, there are some advantages as well. And I think today's event is an example of this. In the world and in Europe, there is a commitment to language diversity, and it is getting stronger, I believe. There are many opportunities to form international networks, and there are more opportunities, thanks to technology, to actually design and carry out initiatives such as this one. So, I think there is a phrase from Shakespeare that I would like to paraphrase: to use or not to use? That is the question. This is what we have to decide. And I believe that the main obstacles to young people using their language are the same all over the world. Now, I'm going to say the ones that we've seen here in the Basque community, and you can see whether they are also applicable to your individual cases. What are the main obstacles to using a minoritized language? First of all, inertia, or just custom, habit. We're just used to speaking a different language. Another one would be fear of getting it wrong, fear of saying something stupid in that language. And then not knowing the language well enough and having difficulties expressing ourselves in that language. And then also a lack of language awareness. And then the attitude of other young people towards our language. Fashion, fads, and embarrassment. Now, I think these are the same everywhere. And these are obstacles that we all face. You as young people, us as older speakers, we all face the same obstacles. I don't think we're particularly original in this. I think that these are problems shared all over the world, by many people all over the world. So what would be the levers? What levers can we use to get out of this situation, to improve our situation? And again, I think these levers can be applied to most language. Well, first of all, we need to work and to improve people's awareness, social awareness of this issue. We need to foster public debate, have the media talk about it. Also, we need to put language and the issue of languages at the centre of the political agenda. We need to get people talking about it in political spheres, in schools, in universities. We need to have people talking about this. We need to foster and strengthen language policy, but that's not enough. All of us, you, young people, and the rest of us, we all have our part to play. It's also important to reach the highest level possible of social and political consensus about our language. Our languages aren't that strong, and it's important to join forces, because the more of us there are, the stronger we will be. We need to forge networks, which is what we're doing here. And to do this, we need to have social activation. We need aware speakers and we need active speakers in order to struggle against the encroachment of hegemonic languages, which is why it's so important to strengthen movements among young people designed to foster and strengthen our language. And I think that motivation is very important. We go from motivation to use and from use to motivation. It's so important to have activated young people if we want to be successful in our adventure. And just to finish, I would say that in this idea of activation, we have wonderful experiences, many of them. This is one of them, but there are others as well, and I'm sure you are aware of others. But here there are some examples of some of these initiatives: Euskaralea, Korrika, and other concerts and events that we organise in the Basque Country to try to activate youth, activate young speakers. And I'm sure there are many, many more, and many more to come. We need all of them. And let's hope, and we do hope, that together, if we work together, if we come together, then we will be able to protect the future of our languages. Thank you very much indeed.
Bueno, hau izan da Kike Amonarrizen hitzaldi espresa.
Right, that was Kike's very quick prize, so much. But we did want to leave a little bit of time for a Q&A. There are no questions at the moment, on the chat at least, so I'm going to open the floor to the people who are actually here physically in the room. If you have any questions or comments, and we'll check the chat every now and then to see if anybody has. Juanma Putic said hello from Catalonia, by the way. That was on the chat. And you can see there are many, many people from all over the world as well who have joined us on the chat. They're asking whether it's better to use. Okay, his mic seems to be working now. So, does anybody want to ask a question? Or those of you who are on the other side of the screen out there in cyberspace, do you want to ask any questions, or, I don't know, make any comments? Or through the chat? Oh, there seems to be somebody there. But he's not using a microphone, unfortunately, which means that we can't hear him back here in the booth. We do apologise. I think they're going to be bringing him a mic now so we can hear him. Well, here we can see, look, there's a really young person here because he's got a babe in arms. Well, I'm a language teacher, and I've seen that it is true that knowledge has increased, but use has gone down. And we've seen how young people don't actually use Basque. They don't speak it. Even though they can speak it, they don't. At school and outside of school. And that's a problem. And I think often young people tend to see Basque as the language of school. And it's really important to foster use outside the school environment as well. And we need to use different tools and instruments to do that. It's an important piece of work that we have ahead of us, because they see it as the language of school and they don't want to speak it when they come out of school. I totally agree with what you've said. That's a major challenge for us. I think that's the main challenge for the next decade, I would say. It's a challenge for all of us as society, for the institutions. We need to make sure that we're not just a case of increasing the offer in Basque, but actually focusing it on the right areas. Young people can speak Basque in theory. They can. There might be a couple of exceptions, but they're few and far between. But we need to foster use, because why will someone switch from one language to another? Well, because they're thinking it, or because it moves us, or because it says something to us. Well, how are we going to get that? Well, the school has an important role to play, but it's outside school that we're going to actually achieve that. Now, schools do a fantastic job, but they cannot overcome social norms in society. They can't do it. And today, young people speak more Basque than adults and older people. So in fact, young people overcome these social norms more than older people, but it's still not enough. I'm sorry, but the microphone seems to be... Oh, it's come on now. People, I think it makes a difference whether or not it's your first language or not. Yes. Sometimes, often, when children become adolescents, they go against the social norms. So if we look at the data from schools, it's very easy to say that young people and teenagers, the further away they get from the schoolroom and the older they get, in fact, they speak more Spanish. It's very easy to say that. But that's not the whole story. And it's not always like that. And it's the environment that really makes the difference. And depending on your environment, many young people and teenagers continue to use Basque. So the work that's carried out at school, in schools, is very important, but there needs to be supported by the work carried out outside the school environment as well. And that's what's going to increase use. There's ups and downs, of course, but I think hopefully we need to be working towards a greater level of awareness as well. And many young people who actually stopped speaking Basque actually start speaking Basque later on in life. But they need to have the conditions for that to happen. The conditions have to be right. I think we all know this. This is nothing new. When a group of children speak Basque in the classroom, right from the word go, and in the extracurricular activities and at home with their families as well, or if their family doesn't speak Basque, at least they're supported in their Basque speaking endeavour, they're much more likely to continue to speak in Basque outside the school environment. I would just like to add something to what my brother just said. I think that the information and the facts and figures about language use are concerning. But also we have to think about the actual level of Basque, of young bilingual speakers. Now, I am a primary school teacher, and we can see that, in fact, the quality of the language is pretty poor here in the city of Vitoria-Gasteiz. Many children come from Spanish-speaking families, and this, of course, and families in which other languages are spoken as well. Spanish isn't always the first language of the family, and it's true that more and more people are able to speak Basque, but the former bilingual speakers spoke Basque much better. They were bilingual Basque speakers, but what we have today is bilingual Spanish speakers. It's not quite the same thing, and that's something that concerns me. And I think it has to do with globalization. It has to do with different leisure activities and the input that they get, which is often in Spanish. Yes, I would just like to say one thing. In the Basque country, the situation is very different depending on where you are in the Basque country. It's not the same everywhere, even in the autonomous community of the Basque country. So I think we have to be quite careful because we can't extrapolate what we see somewhere to the entire Basque country. I know, I'm just talking about what I see here in Vitoria-Gasteiz, the city in which we're in at the moment. Yes, well, the situation in Vitoria-Gasteiz is multifaceted. In fact, it's quite varied. If we look at what the city was like just a few decades ago, and if we compare that to the situation that we have today, well, this gathering, this summit that we're holding here today would have been impossible a few decades ago. So we have moved forward, we've made headway. We have more Basque speakers today, but that poses its own challenges. It poses different challenges. And this is what I was trying to say, and this was the main to convey today. Sometimes when when people mix English and Spanish, we call it Spanglish. Well, when people mix Basque and Spanish, we call it Euskañol. Code switch quite a lot, especially here in Vitoria-Gasteiz. But we just have to we have to take a look at an overview of the situation to make sure that we are moving forward. But we have to focus on use. And this is something that we have to do. So, this is something that is applicable to all languages. If we want to recover language in an area, if we want to recover it, we have to look at quality, we have to look at use. Of course, the other question would be how we can do this. And then, of course, we have to take into account the fact that the power of the hegemonic languages is so great that people are constantly getting inputs. And we have to develop different defense mechanisms to struggle against that. And there are two pillars, I think, two main areas. One would be the schools. That would be one area we need to focus on. But then the environment outside. How do we learn to talk? Well, out on the street with our friends, in the park, at home with our family. We don't just learn to speak at school, because at school, most of our students spend most of their time in silence. They don't talk very much at school. They hear a lot of Basque, but they don't actually talk. There's quite a lot of comments that are coming in on the chat from Catalonia, for example. They're saying that it is absolutely vital to create a worldwide movement to revitalize languages, just as there is a worldwide movement to fight against climate change. This is what we need. We also have a question from Bilara. She says, thank you very much for your presentation, first of all. And then she's asking you about teaching of minoritized languages in foreign universities. Do you think it's important to do this in order to revitalize language? Is that an important element we should take into account? I'm not familiar with the university sphere. It's not something, I'm not familiar with it. I work outside the university, but I do think it has a role to play in revitalization. But generally, when we're talking about revitalization, it happens in a geographical area. But of course, virtual communities can be very important as well, and we need to reinforce them and strengthen these communities, especially the virtual communities. I think that for languages, it is important to develop international contact, because that's going to help us. It's going to help us to do what? Well, it's going to help us to improve our self-esteem, for a start. And I think for minoritized languages, being able to see that there are people out there in other parts of the world who are interested in our language, who think that our language is valuable and worthwhile, that really improves our self-esteem. It's a good boost to our self-esteem. And in fact, this is what I've felt when I've seen on the television that there are people in Japan learning the Basque language. It makes me feel proud. It makes me feel speaker. It boosts my self-esteem. So I do think we do have to expand our international network, our international tentacles, if you like. And I think that it's important to open eyes in the international language community so that people can see what's happening. For example, the best translator from the Czech language into Basque is from Madrid. It's a person who lived in the Czech Republic, has also learnt Basque. So the best translator from Czech to Basque lives in Madrid and is from Madrid. And there are Japanese people who speak Basque. There are interpreters and translators who translate directly from Polish to Basque, for example. So I think we are opening up new pathways, new avenues that we need to explore. But it's true that the heart of revitalization happens in the geographical area, but I think the international networks have an important role to play. There's more comments on the chat. Now, there are some participants who are just saying thank you very much for that very interesting presentation. There's an association which works to defend the language spoken in Extremadura here in Spain, who's thanking you as well for your presentation. And they're saying that they're doing their very best to revitalize the language that is spoken in Extremadura, and they're following the same path that the Basque took. And there is another question as well. Another question which has been asked over the chat. Speaker of Quechua, Aruarwir, I think they're called. We're going to try to hear their voice, if we can. Hello?
Aruarwir Ruizni Capani. Buenas tardes con todos ustedes.
Good afternoon. My name is Aruarwir Ruiz. I don't know if you can hear me. Brilliant, thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here, sharing this moment with all you Basque speakers. I live in...
Tu presentación, también encontrar muchos paralelos con respecto a la lengua quechua. Bueno, nosotros con la lengua quechua es una lengua ancestral de América que ha sobrevivido a la colonización, a la invasión, al genocidio, y por lo tanto las iniciativas de revitalización lingüística también son muy, pero muy novedosas para nosotros. Ustedes, los hablantes del euskera y los activistas, los euskaltzale, son un referente muy importante para nosotros que estamos recién empezando este camino también de la revitalización. Yo quería hacerte una pequeña pregunta, Kike, y es ¿de qué forma crees tú que la revitalización del euskera ha incentivado también a la opción de nuevas formas de vida o también al cambio de vida personal y colectivo? Pues las lenguas no son solamente medios de comunicación, ¿verdad?, sino que también crean realidad. Entonces, tal vez en Euskal Herria han visto en los últimos años cambios de modos de vida a partir también de esta revitalización del euskera. Esa es mi pequeña pregunta. Bueno, espero que se me haya escuchado bien. Tal vez me parece que sí se escuchó. Veo a la compañera de lengua de lengua de señas que sí ha transmitido. Muchas gracias también a ella. Y bueno, tal vez en el video no me pudieron ver, pero bueno, esperemos que se haya comprendido la participación.
We do hope that you
Euskera hablantes, desde acá, desde el Tahuantinsuyo, yo estoy conectado desde Quito, en los Andes. Muchas gracias. Eskerrik asko.
Eskerrik asko zuri.
Thank you very much. We do apologise for that brief interruption in the interpreting. There seemed to be some kind of crossover with the sound, and if I talked, then it kind of interfered with the sound from the Zoom, so we do apologise for that. Now, if we look at our process here, it's based on community values. There's a certain degree of solidarity. We're talking about a certain attitude towards equality. And I think that makes us more open in our language communities. It helps us to understand other communities better. It helps us to be more empathetic. And I don't think it's a coincidence either. And in fact, I know that there are certain researchers who are researching this issue. When the Basque revitalization process started, took place, that was in fact at the same time as when the cooperatives were set up. And I don't think that's a coincidence either. The Ikastolas, the cooperative Basque medium schools, also were established at that time, and it's not a coincidence. It's because behind all of this and underlying all of this is a series of community values. I don't think it's a coincidence that there are more associations in the Basque country than almost anywhere else in the world. I don't think it's a coincidence that we have such a strong anti-racism movement here. We have such a strong feminist movement here. This is all because we have an underlying set of values. Values which coincide with the values on which the revitalization process is based. And I think that helps us to feel proud of what we're doing as well. And I think it's very important, it's actually quite characteristic that in the French Basque country there's a movement now to revitalise the Basque language, but there's also a movement in favour of working close to the land. So it's not just a language, it's a whole way of life. So I would like to send you my best wishes to your language community. I know that you're working very, very hard to preserve and strengthen your language. And I know that we share many of the same challenges, problems, and there's something curious that I would like to tell you. I live in Tolosa, and next to Tolosa there's another town called Ibarra, and there's a woman who's from Ecuador, and she lives in Ibarra, and in fact she learnt the Basque language, and she's actually now learning her own native language, Quechua. And these things happen too. And she's written a book about Quechua and the Basque language, and many people have read it. So I think that all language revitalization processes are linked. Okay, well, I think we'll need to draw to a close. We need to wrap it up here. So we're running a little bit late. I'm sure you can continue talking on the social media. Kike is very active on Twitter, so if you write to him, I'm sure he will answer you. Well, not necessarily, it depends on the question. I want the easy questions, but if you've got a hard question, then please send them to Benyat, because he's also very active on Twitter. So anything that's different, anything difficult, you send it to him, because he's a bit of a jack of all trades as well. Let's go on now to the prize giving ceremony. We need to know who the prize winners are. Just to give you a little bit of context, I'm going to explain to you how the prize giving ceremony is going to go. We can't all get together. We can't be here in person, so it's difficult to work on the whole relationship side of things. So what we decided is we decided to get you to do some projects to give you the opportunity to get together, to get people, speakers of minoritized languages from all over the world to get together and to work together. Now, 60 people have participated in this competition. 15 different projects have been handed in. We've had all sorts of different things. We've had video clips, songs, sketches, language biographies, Twitter accounts. It's been incredibly diverse and very enriching in this sense, and we're delighted with the response. So 15 people have judged and assessed all of the projects, and we're very, very grateful to them. We know that they had a great time and that all the projects were of incredible quality. All 15 were of the utmost quality. Now, I'm sure you're dying to know who the winners are. Let's get on with it. So without further ado, let me tell you that let's talk about the first prize first. A masterful use of words, making two people separated by a great distance feel close to one another, looking at the past, the present and future calmly and with hope. And all of this more is the first prize, which is called BASO, Community Effort to Care for the Language Forest. So, round of applause, please. Now, the authors of this wonderful work are Arawe Ruiz and Miren Uriarte. We're going to have, we have Arawe who's going to be talking by Zoom, and Miren is here. So I'm going to give you the check for 700 euros, and you can just sort it out with Arawe. You can fight amongst yourselves for it. So there are some words that can you just tell us a little bit about the project, if that's okay, and what you felt when you did it, and your experience. But while you do that, you probably want to be holding the check while you do it, right? So let me give it to you. Good afternoon. Arawe's, she's connected up, I think. First of all, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't need to hold it. Now, we prepared a short presentation because a little bird told us that we were going to win. So I'm just going to read out these words, if that's okay. So this project was is born out of a lot of conversations and born out of a desire to collaborate. I think it's very clear, and if it's not clear, it is now, if it wasn't clear before, that there is an urgent need for collaboration among minoritized languages in the world. And that was really the starting point of our project. And that need, that urgency, is also something we've tried to reflect in our project. But more than talking about collaboration, we like to use the Basque word auzolana, which means community effort. So in Quechua, the word is minga, and in Basque it's auzolana. In English it would be like community effort or community work. And in our project, we want to highlight this incredible relationship between languages and nature, the natural world. This is something that has already been mentioned today. So we wanted to highlight the relationship between languages and nature. And another aim was to try to encourage minoritized languages to become wilder. Because in one of the conversations that we had, Awi and myself, we realized how we tend to use the word wild, and we thought, and how that has become part of the collective imaginary that has grown up around our languages. And we thought it was really important to reappropriate this word, the wild, and the idea of wildness, and bestow on it the value it deserves. And so we need to really value it more and appreciate it more. So I have some words of the Quechuan rapper Taki Amaru. We've taken an excerpt from the song called Tujarin, and it says the following.
Urkukuna tushun, tukui tantanakushkami, takikunawami tukui tukjarin. Now
I'm going to pass the floor over to Arawi so that she can say some words as well. Let's see if it works.
Chan chan. Arawi, hitz egin mesedez.
Can you talk, please? We don't know if we can hear you.
Yes.
Nope, doesn't look like it. That's a shame. Well, we could hear her before, but it doesn't seem to be working at the moment, so perhaps you can finish, Miren. It's a shame, because she was going to actually talk in Quechua. But I will just read it out in the Basque language. So just a moment, please, because I wasn't ready for this. Sorry.
Bitartean esango dut, 15 lan horietatik.
In the meantime, I can say that of the 15 projects, I think 10 almost won. It was very close at the end. It was really hard to choose. Now, we're going to start sharing the projects from next week onwards, so if you're curious, then you'll be able to look at all of them. Well, I'm going to try to read out what Arawi was going to say. Well, it was hard for us to actually get together because when one was going to bed in the Basque Country, the other one was just waking up in Tahuantinsuyo, and vice versa. But despite our busy schedules and this 7-hour time lag, our desire, I think, to preserve the forest of wild languages has overcome all barriers. And if you read our project, you'll understand what I'm talking about much better. So just to finish, I would like to thank the organisers of this summit for really helping to promote this community effort between minoritised languages. And also, I'd like to say that we hope that in future years, we will be able to be together in person in the future, just like we have done in past summits and past gatherings. Now, so for both all of you who are here and those who are following us online, we would like to leave you with a small fragment of a song by Apalache, which is called For You. And it goes like this. This is for those who dream about free lands, those who fight for free lands, for all those working to promote languages. A big hug for all of you.
Bestela niretzako, Badirudi Arawirekin.
Well, I think we can hear Arawi now. I think we've managed to connect up to her. Arawi, are you there? I am here.
Sí me escuchan. Sí, en Zoom la gente sí me estaba escuchando, solo faltaba ahí conectar un cable en su auditorio.
Vale.
There seems to be some kind of technical mix-up again.
Estarnos en continentes diferentes, sí, tan lejanos, a miles de kilómetros. Y creo que eso también es lo que quería mencionar y mencionó ya mi compañera Miren, y es que pese a todas estas dificultades de la lejanía, de la tecnología, de la pandemia, de nuestros trabajos, de la diferencia horaria. Aún así, pues, creo que el deseo por juntar nuestras lenguas, el euskera y
See if this works.
rompe todas las barreras, ¿no? Creo que hasta podríamos irnos hasta la luna. Como también lo comentaba Kike, ¿no? De esta experiencia de la mujer ecuatoriana que después de aprender el euskera, pues se incentivó a retomar su lengua ancestral, que es el quechua. Bueno, voy a repetir simplemente la última partecita que lo dijo mi compañera Miren, pero es también para que ustedes puedan saborear un poquito de nuestra lengua de resistencia que ha sobrevivido más de 500 años y que estamos presentes todavía aquí. Ishkaipura tandanajungapajka sinjilla mikaparka. Euskal Herria mama llaqtapi kayshu puñuhukpi tawantinsuyo mama llaqtapi chayshuña purijurka. Shinapash ishkandipa ruranakuna tiaqpipash kanchis pachakuna karuyachikpipash sachamanda sacha shimikunata kamaita munayka tukuy harkanakunata fakichiparkami. Shinallataq kay tandanakuyta ruraqkunata yupaychapanchi nishpami sakipanchi. Paykunaka runa shimikunapura ningata euskera shimipi ausolana nishkata viñachipashkami. Ñawpa pachakunapishina shamuq tandanakuykunapi tukuyllapura tupanahushpaka sumakmi kapanman. Kay rimayta tukuchinkapaqqa shuk takikumanta rimaykuta kikinkunaman purichita munapanchik. Lur askeekin amesten dutenei. Lur Kichwapi kishpirishka llaqtakunata muskuqkunaman. Lur askeengatik borrokan ari tirenei. Kishpirishka llaqtakunamanta makanahuqkunaman. Iskuntza bultza duten gustiei. Ñukanchi shimit manda hatarishka kunaman. Besarkada vero bat suenzat. Shuhatun ugjaita kikin kunaman. Kachapanchi. Yupaychapani eskeri casco.
Apologise for that short break in the interpreting. There seems to be a problem when we hear people speaking online. Now, we're not doing very well for time. We've got our musicians downstairs waiting to give us a concert, but we do need to hear who the prize winners are. So where do people usually go on holiday? Remember, they go to Cancun, Benidorm, Paris, maybe? Back to their hometown. But before the pandemic, a couple of two friends who met at the last IGA. Well, they just met, and then the very next week they decided to go to Rohelat, which is a part of Kurdistan under Iranian control. And they said, okay, well, what are we going to go and do? Just to be tourists? No, they decided that wasn't enough. They wanted to go to discover the language of Kurdish that was spoken there and the revitalization process that was underway. Almost they hardly knew each other at all, but they went anyway. They had a fantastic adventure, and they have developed, or they've come up, generated a chronicle of their journey to Kurdistan, called Chronicle of a Journey to Kurdistan, Collective Dialogue. Now, the authors are Morgane Lindsay Furcott and Amaya Orbe Badio, and they're both following us online. So we're going to hold a draw for the prize money for all of you who are here in person, so that you can also go to Kurdistan. I'm only joking. So congratulations to the winners, and we're going to hear a video. We're going to watch a short video where they explain the project and what they felt when they were doing the project. And this is the prize. Hello, my name is Amaya. My name is Morgan. I'm from the Basque Country, from Armua. I'm from Brittany. I've been a Basque teacher abroad, a translator, an interpreter as well. I'm a reporter and I work in documentary film. Now, we presented our project together because we met at the 2019 IGA, and we promised each other that we would continue to meet. It's a story of friendship, journeys, languages, and film. So that's how the whole adventure, the whole story started. And mainly, or principally, we wanted to get to know some other language communities. This was something that we decided together, that we both wanted to do it. And that was mainly because we had, especially language communities outside, those that don't come to the IGA meetings and the summits. And so we decided to go to Rogelat. Now, Rogelat is in the eastern part of Kurdistan. So it's in Iran. And so we just picked up and went. They say, people believe, that languages shown on maps, those that draw borders, are the ones that are important. They're the ones that people use to communicate. They're used in education, in music, art and film. There are larger languages, smaller languages, universal languages and regional languages. Our languages, Breton and Basque, are generally in the second of these groups. And with this idea, we went east towards Rogelat. Now, in Kurdish, Rogelat literally means east, where towards the rising sun. And west in Kurdish is Rojava, north is Bakur, and south is Bashur. Now, these are the words that we learnt when we went to Kurdistan. So we needed to decide which part of Kurdistan we were going to visit. It's very difficult to actually move from east to west in Kurdistan easily. The sun moves very easily across the sky, but the people can't move. They can't cross those borders. There's quite a hard border in the east for both citizens and for language as well. Now, the Kurdish language is a Indo-European language in the Iranian branch. It has lots of dialects, a huge amount of dialects. And if we just look at the number of speakers and the geographical area in which it's spoken, then it's quite clear that it's actually not a minority language. It's actually one of the most widely spoken languages in the world. But unfortunately, this sort of large amount of figures and the high numbers of speakers don't coincide with the reality. And paradoxically, many people actually view it as a minority or a minoritized language, mainly because of the territorial issues. It is spoken in Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria and Armenia. It's distributed throughout all of these different territories. When we came back, we knew that if we weren't a small language, we realized that the languages that aren't featured in maps, the languages that don't respect borders, they're the ones that move people. They're the languages that enabled us to hear so many stories and share so many stories and get to know so many people. And we're still doing it. We're still working on this project, on this journey, which we did because we came together and we met each other in IGA, this summit of young speakers of minoritized languages held in Vitoria-Gasteiz. What we have here is just a small example, a small sample of what we're doing, but we wanted to share it with all of you in this year's IGA, which is an online edition this year. Well, that's a fantastic piece of work. They created a website. We will be sharing the link with you, and it's really worth going. You'll spend hours and hours seeing all the videos and reading all the posts. And I think it's a special source of pride because it came out of an IGA meeting. And that's the aim of this initiative, to involve young people in these processes and to together build a brighter future. So that was the second prize. So let's go start now with the third prize. Oh my goodness, a group of young people in Helsinki swearing in Basque, out defending the harsh streets. You might be thinking, poor Benyat, have you gone mad? Well, no. Arait Klaramut, Oregi, Keili Karinen, Maria Protasova, Tiro Timenen and Tula Suvanto have actually won the third prize with their project called Speak in Basque, Damn It. Now, these are, they showed us that they have sent us a video that we're just going to watch now. Something smelled off here. Well, looky here. Who have we got here? The dimwit from Helsinki. She's a bit slow, so she probably got lost and wandered into our neighbourhood by mistake. By mistake! Bah, what a moron. Get out of here, you jerks. This place is ours. You hear that? Those jackasses want to chuck us out of here. Ha! Boneheads, this is your last warning. Get lost, you pillocks. This is our pad. Look, numbwit, we're getting very tired of you. We're staying here. Deal with it. You shut your mouth, you tosser. Who are you calling a tosser? What do you think? Who do you think you are, you horse's ass? You ignorant git. What did you say to me? The only ignorant git around here is you gormless prat. Minger, dipstick, dickass, douchebag. Oh, you're not a complete idiot. Some part is missing. Hang on. Are you sure you said that right? What are you talking about? Well, I don't know. Shouldn't it be some part are missing? I don't think you got the verb right. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, thanks. You're welcome. If you're going to insult someone, you need to get it right. I'm Iker. Lovely to meet you. Same here. Hey, Iker, are you with them or with me? You numbskull, you should be helping me. Yeah, but we had a grammar issue and, you know, insults are important. Yeah. Okay. I suppose you're right. So, let's have a look. What was the problem? I don't know. So what is it? Is it is? Are? Which one? I don't know. Does it matter? Yeah, we need to sort it out. So, some part is missing? No. Some part is or some part are. Is grammar more important than insults? Don't we need to use words like this in our everyday language? Basque isn't just a formal academic language. You can also use it with friends, out on the street.
Aquí pisa. Saatana perkele jumalauta. Mierda, joder. Horiek.
So in Basque, the insults are something like old poo, dog's fart. I don't know. Isn't there anything stronger? Perhaps we're just not used to using them. But in fact, there's actually a huge choice. So, no matter where you are, whether it be Helsinki or any place else, speak Basque, damn it!
Hello. Bueno,
Hello, my name is Arrait Claramunt, and I'm currently in Helsinki, working as a Basque teacher at the Etxea Institute. My name is Maria, aka the dimwit from Helsinki. My name is Tulia. So, how do we come up with this project? Or this idea? Well, we've been learning Basque with Arrait for, I don't know, about 2 years now, more or less. And in this spring, we were in our last class, and the topic of that class was swear words and insults. So basically we learnt to swear in class, and as we were doing that, we realised that Basque speakers don't tend to use very many swear words. That's a stereotype, at least. That's what we realised. We'd already done some sketches for Euskaralia. We'd had a great time doing it. We'd really enjoyed it. And Arrait suggested in class that maybe we could come up with a sketch about swear words. But we kind of took it more like a joke, really. We didn't end up doing anything at that time, at least. Well, then the months went by, and then Kaylee, well, she told us about this project, this initiative. And we thought it was really interesting, and we decided to participate. And then Maria remembered that actually we'd already come up with an idea for a possible sketch about swear words. So we started working on it. Now, the aim is, it's basically supposed to be funny. This is a sketch. It's supposed to be fun. It's just a bit of fun, really. But even though it's just a bit of fun and it's supposed to be funny, we also think that, well, one of the things that we wanted to highlight with it was the importance of Basque and the importance of using Basque. I mean, that was our basic aim. We wanted to form part of the Basque-speaking community. We wanted to talk Basque. We wanted to practice our Basque, the Basque that we were learning. And we wanted to participate in a Basque event. Well, as you can imagine, there aren't very many opportunities to speak Basque in Finland, logically. So we thought it was a really good idea to use this opportunity to, I don't know, to speak Basque in a sort of at least real life situation, and to participate in a Basque event, a Basque project, a Basque initiative, and to try to sort of foster the natural use of the language. And as Tulia said, we wanted to highlight the importance of Basque. We wanted to make it clear that it's no less important than any other language. It's no more important or less important, it's just another language. It's just one of many. And it's just as rich and has as much to offer as any other language. This is a fantastic competition. It's brilliant. It gives us the chance to practice Basque, to speak Basque. We learnt a lot. So thank you very much. We're really, really happy to have participated. Yes, I'd also like to thank you all for creating the competition, for creating the project. We had a great time. We really did have a great time doing the sketch, and we really learnt a lot as well. And thanks from me too. It's a great opportunity. You've given us a great opportunity. And in fact, even before we were told that we'd won, we already felt that we had won, because we'd learnt so much. The students had learnt so much, and I as a teacher was able to sort of, round off the year with a really good project. It's been a hard year due to the coronavirus pandemic, and this made it a little bit easier, so thank you very much.
Project was a new perspective on the world. Learning and using a new language and a new kind of language has given me a whole new understanding of other people.
Kaylee.
Well, I think that Kaylee and Arrait, they're listening to us live. So this prize is for you. There you go. There's a check winging its way to you in Finland. And there's no commission, I'm not charging any commission. So, really that's all from me. Many other projects didn't win, but they were so good. And I think they all made such a fantastic contribution to this. And I know that some of you are here, some of you who entered, and at the beginning we featured some of them. I think the very first project that we received, we've been playing that song. It's the song that was playing when you all came in. It's a fantastic song, so I really do encourage you all to listen to it. It's a song that's really been made and written with a lot of care. And they play around with language, because they've actually brought together 3 different languages to explain revitalization and the revitalization process. There's also a Twitter project, and you'll hear more about this a little bit later on. It's a shame that we couldn't give out more prizes, because it was a fantastic piece of work, but congratulations to all of you. And this was the aim of this competition, to create strong ties, strong bonds between speakers of different language communities. So, we are a little bit running a bit late. The concert will start in 5 minutes' time. It's a concert given by a group called Ibil Bedi. It's a very new group. They just started in March. They've got some fantastic songs. I think their youth and the 1,000 faces of their songs, I think they're a perfect complement to everything that we've heard today. So, thank you all of those who are following us online, and those of you who have come here to Vitoria-Gasteiz today, this evening. Let's hope that next year we can all meet in person. We had a great time last year, so let's hope next year we'll be able to be here in person, and we're going to have some more projects, and I'm sure they'll be just as fantastic and interesting as the ones we received this year. So, those of us who are here, we need to walk down the stairs, and the band is waiting for us. And if you are following us online, you just need to wait a little bit, and the concert will start briefly. So thank you all very much for your attention.
txartela erosi, jazteko. Aplikazioa bitartez egiten da orain, ez da? Ez dakit. Eske zonti dago.
¿Ya has ido para allá?
Sí.
¿Se puede empezar? Sí.
Eta gora egiten du Dunia Bueno, orain bai, bagoaz, eskerrik asko berriz, eskerrik asko bilati, eta hori zen, espero eskuiratu izana, eta nola biskate itxiera bezala osatu izana kontzertua, eta beste bat, esan. Horren bagoaz pixkat antzatzeko, gutxi.